I never imagined that my life would hinge on a single question spoken in a voice that echoed across stars. Before that moment, I was just another human, ordinary, expendable, easily overlooked by the vast machinery of the galaxy. Earth had entered the interstellar age cautiously, sending diplomats, scientists, and translators into alien territories, not as conquerors, but as learners. We were fragile newcomers among ancient empires that measured history in millennia instead of centuries. That was how I ended up on the capital world of Vealora Prime, home of the Aurelian Empire, an empire ruled by an empress so old that entire civilizations had risen and collapsed during her reign. Her name was Empress. Even hearing it spoken carried weight. I was not a general. I was not royalty. I wasn't even a senior diplomat. I was a linguistic systems analyst, assigned to observe, listen, and translate subtle semantic differences between human speech and alien cognition. My job was to sit quietly in the background and make sure no one accidentally started a war because of a mistranslated phrase. I never expected the Empress to notice me. Vealora Prime was nothing like Earth. Its sky shimmered in layered hues, violet bleeding into gold, gold dissolving into blue. The palace floated above a vast crystalline plain, supported by anti-gravitic spires that hummed softly, like the planet itself was breathing. Inside the throne chamber, silence ruled. Not empty silence, commanding silence. The kind that made your thoughts feel loud and dangerous. The Aurelians stood tall, their luminous eyes reflecting intelligence beyond anything human. Their skin glowed faintly, marked with bioluminescent patterns that shifted with emotion. And at the center of them all sat Empress, draped in living light. She did not look ancient. She looked eternal. The human delegation stood before her, our ambassador speaking carefully, praising cooperation, offering trade routes, research alliances, and cultural exchange. I monitored neural language overlays, watching for stress patterns, emotional inflections, hidden meanings. Everything was proceeding smoothly, until the Empress raised her hand. The room froze. Her gaze, sharp, impossibly focused, shifted away from the ambassador and settled on me. "You," she said, her voice resonating directly inside my mind rather than my ears. The quiet one. My heart slammed against my ribs. "Yes, your radiance," I managed. "Step forward." Every instinct screamed danger, but I obeyed. As I moved, I felt thousands of alien eyes tracking me. Humans were insignificant in size compared to the Aurelians, but at that moment, I felt microscopic. The Empress studied me for a long time. "Your species," she said, "is young, fragile, yet persistent." I nodded, unsure whether speaking would help or hurt. "We have watched humanity," she continued. "You wage wars against yourselves, poison your own worlds, yet you dream of unity. You destroy, and then you mourn." Her bioluminescence shifted, a ripple of something unreadable. "Tell me, human," she said. Then came the question. "If your species were given power equal to mine, power to shape stars, to command life, to decide the fate of civilizations, what would you do with it?" The chamber trembled, not physically, but existentially. I realized then that this was no philosophical curiosity. This was a test. Other empires had failed this question. I saw it in the Empress's stillness, in the ancient patience of someone who had already heard countless wrong answers. My mouth went dry. I could have said we would bring peace. I could have said justice, order, protection, but the truth burned in my chest. I took a breath. "We wouldn't deserve it," I said quietly. Gasps rippled through the chamber. The Empress's eyes narrowed. "Explain." I swallowed. "Power like that, it would expose us. Amplify, Everything we are. Our kindness, yes, but also our fear. Our need to control. We'd rush to impose our version of good on the universe without understanding it. I looked up at her, meeting her gaze despite the terror flooding my veins. So, instead of ruling, I continued, we would need to learn first, to listen, to grow beyond our instincts before we tried to shape anything larger than ourselves. Silence stretched. For one terrible moment, I thought I had doomed Earth. Then the Empress laughed. Not mockery, recognition. A rare answer, she said. Most species crave power. Fewer admit they are unready for it. She rose from her throne, light cascading around her form. As she approached me, the air felt heavier, charged. You believe restraint is strength? Yes, I replied, because it's harder than domination. The Empress stopped inches away. For eons, she said, I have ruled through conquest, then control, then fear disguised as order. And yet, rebellion never ends. Suffering merely changes shape. She turned away, addressing the chamber. The humans are dangerous, she declared. My heart sank. Not because they are strong, she continued, but because they question themselves. She faced me again. Your answer has altered the probability threads, she said softly. I had planned to absorb your world into the Aurelian sphere, to guide you under my rule. A pause. Now, I will not. Shock surged through the human delegation. Instead, the Empress continued, Earth will remain sovereign, observed, protected from external annihilation, but never controlled. Relief nearly buckled my knees. But understand this, she added, locking eyes with me. This choice rests on you. If humanity proves incapable of growth, my mercy will not repeat itself. The audience ended shortly after. The humans were escorted out in stunned silence. No one spoke until we reached the transport vessel. Then the ambassador grabbed my shoulders. Do you realize what you just did? He whispered. I wasn't sure. Back on Earth, the effects unfolded slowly. Trade routes opened that had once been sealed. Hostile empires avoided our sector. Aurelian observers appeared, not as rulers but watchers. And me? I became something I never wanted to be. A symbol. The human who spoke honestly to a god empress. Years passed. I aged. The Aurelians did not. One day, decades later, I received a message encoded in light. An invitation. The Empress wished to see me again. When I returned to Valora Prime, the palace looked unchanged. The Empress, however, seemed quieter. You were right, she said after a long silence. About what? I asked. Restraint, she replied. I have begun dismantling my empire. My breath caught. Power, she said, was never meant to be hoarded, only guided, temporarily. She looked at me. Ancient eyes softened. My question changed you, she said, but your answer changed me. I felt something profound settle in my chest. What happens now? I asked. She smiled, a subtle, luminous curve of light. Now, she said, the universe waits to see if humanity can become what it dares to imagine. As I left the throne chamber for the final time, I understood something at last. The Empress's question hadn't been about power. It had been about responsibility. And my answer hadn't changed everything, because it was perfect, but because it was honest.